The silent darkness of NASA's Deep Space Communications Center was broken only by the soft glow of monitors and the occasional whisper between night shift operators. It was 3:17 a.m. when the first signal arrived, a pattern too regular, too precise to be anything natural. Dr. Olivia Grant rubbed her tired eyes, unsure if she was seeing things after her 18th hour on duty. The pattern repeated, mathematical and undeniable. Her hands trembled as she reached for the phone. "Sir, I think you need to see this," she said, her voice barely steady. Within hours, the facility buzzed with activity. Government officials arrived, followed by military personnel led by Colonel Frank Winters, a stern-faced man with calculating eyes who immediately recognized the significance of what they were witnessing. "It's definitely artificial," Dr. Grant explained, pointing to the sequence on her screen, "and it's responding to our return signals. Whatever this is, it's intelligent, and it wants to talk." The communication evolved rapidly over the following days. Mathematical concepts gave way to simple language exchanges. The mysterious senders identify themselves as the Zorn Imperium, a vast civilization spanning hundreds of star systems. 1 month after the initial contact, the first Zorn vessel appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. Sleek and enormous, the ship dwarfed anything humans had ever constructed, its metallic surface reflecting the distant sun like a newly minted coin. "They claim to be explorers," Colonel Winters said during an emergency United Nations session. "But their ship carries weapons unlike anything we've ever seen." The Zorn ambassador, appearing via holographic projection, was vaguely humanoid, but with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to change color as it spoke. "We come in peace and friendship," the translator conveyed. "Our civilization wishes to welcome humanity into the galactic community." Over the next several months, limited exchanges began. The Zorn shared carefully selected technologies, minor medical advances, modest improvements to solar power collection, nothing that would significantly alter the balance of power. Dr. Grant spent countless hours analyzing the Zorn language and technology. During one late-night session, she noticed something concerning. "They're scanning us constantly," she told Colonel Winters in a secure meeting room. "Every gift they provide contains sophisticated monitoring equipment. They're assessing our capabilities." Winters nodded grimly. "I've noticed their questions always circle back to our military capacity, resource distribution, and command structures." President Laura Shepard authorized the formation of a secret committee, bringing together Winters, Grant, and other specialists to develop contingency plans. They met in an underground facility, away from potential Zorn monitoring. "They're following a pattern," said General Howard Beck, pointing to historical data. "Every civilization they've welcomed has eventually been absorbed into their empire. They're not visitors, they're advanced scouts." Dr. Grant discovered subtle falsehoods in the Zorn communications. Their translation matrix contains deliberate errors, making their technology seem less advanced than it truly is. While Earth's leaders publicly welcome the Zorn with diplomatic receptions and cultural exchanges, the secret committee worked tirelessly to understand the true nature of humanity's first alien contact. 3 months into the exchange, a second Zorn ship arrived, then a third. Each vessel positioned itself in strategic orbit, always maintaining that they were simply scientific observers. "They're establishing positions," Colonel Winters noted during a classified briefing. "Classic military positioning for orbital dominance." As Dr. Grant decoded more of their communications, a chilling reality emerged. The friendly overtures were merely the first phase of a careful, methodical conquest that had been repeated dozens of times across the galaxy. "We need to prepare," she told the committee, her face pale but determined. "They're not here to welcome us to the galactic community. They're here to take everything we have." 3 years had passed since humanity's first contact with the Zorn Imperium. Earth had grown accustomed to the alien presence. 7 massive ships now hung in orbit, their smooth surfaces gleaming in the sunlight. On a crisp autumn morning, Admiral George Patterson stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching a Zorn shuttle approach for what was supposed to be a routine diplomatic exchange. Something felt wrong. The shuttle's approach vector differed from established protocols. "Control, are you tracking this?" Patterson asked, pressing his comm unit. Before anyone could answer, a blinding flash erupted from the Zorn shuttle. The station shuddered. Warning alarms blared through every compartment. "We're hit. Multiple hull breaches," came the panicked report. Patterson grabbed a handrail as the artificial gravity fluctuated. Through the viewport, he watched in horror as more energy beams lanced out from the main Zorn vessels, striking military satellites and communication arrays around the planet. "This is Admiral Patterson to all Earth Defense Forces," he transmitted on the emergency frequency. "We are under attack. I repeat, we are under attack." The ISS's main oxygen system failed minutes later. Patterson helped the crew to emergency escape pods, staying behind to ensure everyone got out. His final transmission reached every major military command center on Earth. "They betrayed us. Prepare for war." On Earth, Dr. Olivia Grant was presenting her latest findings on Zorn technology to military officials when the news broke. The Zorn ambassador's image appeared simultaneously on screens worldwide. "People of Earth," the alien announced, its voice artificially modulated to sound soothing despite the chilling message. "Your planet is now under the protection and authority of the Zorn Imperium. Resistance is ill-advised. To demonstrate our resolve." The broadcast switched to live footage of the International Space Station breaking apart under continued weapons fire. Admiral Patterson's escape pod, clearly marked with international rescue symbols, was specifically targeted and destroyed. "Your leaders have 72 hours to surrender control of your governments and resource distribution networks," the ambassador continued. "Tribute requirements will be transmitted separately." Around the world, Zorn ships deployed smaller craft that took position above major cities. Washington, D.C., Beijing, Moscow, London, Tokyo, all found themselves under the shadow of alien weapons platforms. At the Pentagon, chaos erupted as communication systems failed across the board. Colonel Frank Winters grabbed Dr. Grant's arm, pulling her away from the panicked crowd. "We need to get to Bunker 9, he said urgently. "The contingency plan is already activating." They traveled through underground tunnels, eventually reaching a facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Inside, President Shepard was already coordinating with other world leaders who had managed to reach their respective secure locations. "The Chinese are reporting the same thing," the president said grimly. "The Zorn just destroyed their new space station. India's defense minister confirms attacks on their satellite network." Dr. Grant was directed to a secure terminal where data from her previous research had been compiled. Something caught her eye: energy fluctuations during the Zorn attacks. "Their shield technology cycles," she said, pointing to the pattern. "There's a 3-second vulnerability after they fire their main weapons. If we could exploit that." Colonel Winters nodded. "That's something. But we need more." A junior officer burst into the room. "Madam President, the Zorn have just dropped kinetic projectiles on our naval base in Norfolk and China's South Sea Fleet. Thousands are dead." President Shepard's face hardened. "We need to buy time. Open a channel to their ambassador. Tell them we want to discuss surrender terms." She turned to Colonel Winters and Dr. Grant. "Meanwhile, you two activate Project Thunderbolt. If we're going to survive this, we need something they don't expect." As the world's leaders pretended to negotiate their planet's surrender, Dr. Grant worked feverishly, analyzing the attack data, finding patterns and weaknesses. The Zorn believed humanity defeated, but in underground bunkers and hidden facilities, the real work was just beginning. "They think we're beaten," Dr. Grant whispered to herself as she decoded more Zorn transmissions. "That's the one advantage we have." Samuel Carter wiped sweat from his brow as he stared at the prototype engine. The hangar, buried deep beneath the Utah desert, hummed with activity despite the late hour. Engineers and scientists worked with quiet urgency, aware that the fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. Try the modified fuel mixture, Carter instructed his team, and increase the containment field by 12%. The engine's core glowed with an eerie blue light as it powered up. Numbers flashed across monitoring screens, climbing steadily until suddenly leveling out at a stable reading. The team exchanged cautious glances. "It's working," whispered Carter's assistant. "Sam, it's actually working." Carter allowed himself a small smile. After 8 months of failures, they had finally achieved stable antimatter containment at 10 times the efficiency of any previous human technology. It wasn't quite Zorn level yet, but it was close enough to make a difference. "Get me a secure line to Colonel Winters," Carter said. "Tell him Thunderbolt propulsion is ready for integration." 500 miles away, in a repurposed mining facility beneath the lunar surface, Lieutenant Kate Morrison was making her own breakthrough. Her team had been tasked with weaponizing the theoretical work on dark matter that Dr. Grant had extracted from Zorn communications. "The particle stream is stable," Morrison reported, watching as the test chamber absorbed the invisible force without any detectable energy signature. "It's completely undetectable by standard Zorn sensors." Colonel Winters' face on the video screen remained impassive, but his eyes betrayed his excitement. "How powerful is it?" Morrison displayed the results of their last test. One burst from a cannon this size could disable a Zorn cruiser's propulsion system. Scale it up, and we could potentially penetrate their main shields. "How soon can you deliver a working prototype?" Winters asked. 3 weeks for a test version. 2 months for battle-ready units. Winters nodded. "Make it 6 weeks, Lieutenant. Our window is closing." On the surface, humanity appeared to have surrendered. Zorn administrators controlled major cities, extracting resources and technology. Periodic demonstrations of their weapons kept the population compliant, at least as far as the Zorn could tell. But beneath the surface, literally, Earth was transforming into one massive, secret shipyard. In abandoned salt mines beneath Detroit, hull sections were fabricated using new alloys developed by reverse engineering Zorn materials. In flooded quarries in Brazil, engineers tested propulsion systems underwater to mask their energy signatures from orbiting sensors. Beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Lisa Powell's team worked on AI systems that could outthink Zorn tactical computers. "The neural pathways are forming exactly as predicted," Dr. Powell explained to the project leaders during their weekly secure briefing. "These systems can process tactical information 50 times faster than human reflexes. They'll give our ships the edge in combat situations." Colonel Winters coordinated it all from a mobile command center, never staying in one location for more than 3 days. He regularly updated President Shepard, who continued the delicate task of appearing to cooperate with Zorn demands, while secretly facilitating the resistance. "Mars Base Alpha is now operational," Winters reported during one such meeting. "We've begun transferring key personnel and equipment. If Earth is compromised, we'll still have manufacturing capability." President Shepard studied the reports. "How many ships can we field within the next 6 months?" 5 destroyers and 20 fighters at minimum," Winters replied. "The Defiance will be ready for crew training next week." In the asteroid belt, automated mining drones, disguised as commercial resource extractors, harvested materials for the hidden fleet. Specially designed stealth shuttles transported crew and components, using the noise of solar radiation to mask their movements. Project Thunderbolt transformed from desperate hope to tangible reality. What had begun as a handful of scientists working with theoretical concepts had grown into a vast, hidden industry spanning the solar system. Lieutenant Morrison watched as her team loaded the first dark matter cannon onto a transport bound for the shipyards. "Do you think we really have a chance?" her assistant asked quietly. Morrison's eyes hardened with determination. "The Zorn expect us to be primitive and defeated. When our fleet appears, it'll be the last surprise they ever get." 5 years had passed since the Zorn Imperium claimed Earth as their newest conquest. On the surface, humanity appeared broken and subservient. Zorn administrators walked freely through human cities, collecting tributes and enforcing their ever-growing list of regulations. But appearances could be deceiving. Captain Alan Rodriguez floated silently in the command center of the destroyer Defiance, watching as his crew ran through combat drills. The ship, nearly a quarter-mile long with sleek lines that absorbed rather than reflected light, represented humanity's greatest achievement and its most closely guarded secret. "Tactical simulation complete," Captain reported his executive officer. "All systems performed above expectations." Rodriguez nodded, studying the results. The crew had improved their response time by another 8%. "Good work. Let's run it again, but this time add in the variable shield frequencies we might encounter in the newer Zorn dreadnoughts." The Defiance was only one of 37 warships now hidden throughout the asteroid belt. Each vessel incorporated technology that would have been unimaginable just 5 years earlier. Samuel Carter's antimatter engines, Kate Morrison's dark matter weapons, and Lisa Powell's tactical AI systems. Together, they created ships that could potentially challenge even the formidable Zorn fleet. In her lab aboard the Mars colony, Dr. Lisa Powell monitored the neural development of the fleet's AI systems. The screens around her displayed the complex decisions being made by her creation during simulated battles. "It's learning at an exponential rate," she told Colonel Winters during their weekly secure transmission. "The AI can now predict Zorn tactical responses with 94% accuracy based on the limited engagements we've been able to observe." Winters, his face now lined with the stress of 5 years of secret resistance, allowed himself a rare smile. "That's excellent news. How are the integrated fleet systems performing?" "The ships can now communicate and coordinate with virtually no detectable emissions," Hall replied. "The entire fleet can function as a single organism when needed." Throughout the asteroid belt, massive hollowed-out rocks served as construction bays and supply depots. Mining operations, disguised as resource collection for Zorn tribute requirements, actually produced materials for more ships. The facade was maintained through careful manipulation of records and the occasional bribe to lower-level Zorn administrators. In the largest of these hidden shipyards, engineer Samuel Carter supervised the final assembly of the fleet's flagship, the Retribution. Nearly twice the size of the Defiance, it carried enough firepower to potentially destroy a Zorn battle group. "The reactor integration is complete," Carter reported to Rodriguez during a secure inspection tour. "She'll be ready for your command in 3 weeks." Rodriguez ran his hand along a bulkhead, feeling the subtle vibration of power systems. "She's beautiful, Sam. I never thought we'd get this far." "None of us did," Carter replied quietly. "But here we are." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from Lunar Base Delta. "Emergency Protocol Alpha. Zorn Patrol detected approaching asteroid CTB 9845. Estimated arrival in 20 minutes. Rodriguez and Carter exchanged alarmed glances. CTB 9845 housed one of their key manufacturing facilities. "Evacuation procedures are already underway," came the update. "But we can't relocate the heavy equipment in time." Rodriguez made a quick decision. "Tell them to rig the facility for self-destruct. We can't let the Zorn discover what we've been building." The next hours passed in tense silence as the Resistance tracked the Zorn patrol. The manufacturing facility was successfully evacuated, and all traces of advanced technology removed or destroyed before the patrol arrived. But as they monitored Zorn communications, a chilling message was intercepted. Anomalous energy signatures detected in Sector 7. Possible unauthorized technology. Requesting full investigation squadron. Colonel Winters convened an emergency meeting of the Resistance leadership. "They're starting to notice discrepancies. Our window is closing faster than anticipated." President Shepard, now operating from a secure facility beneath the Rockies, considered their options. "How ready is the fleet?" 70% of planned strength," Rodriguez answered. "But what we have is operational." Shepard nodded gravely. "Then we move up the timetable. Alert all commands. Operation Liberation begins in 2 weeks." As the meeting concluded, Rodriguez returned to the Defiance, his mind racing. They weren't fully ready, But waiting was no longer an option. The time had come for humanity to reveal its hidden fleet and strike back. The bridge of the Defiance hummed with tension as Captain Alan Rodriguez surveyed his command crew. Each officer sat at their station, faces illuminated by the soft glow of tactical displays. No one spoke above a whisper as the final countdown approached. "All ships report ready, Captain," his communications officer said, removing her headset briefly. "Fleet is in position and awaiting your command." Rodriguez nodded, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. "Send the activation code. Operation Liberation is go." Throughout the solar system, hidden ships powered up their engines. In the asteroid belt, 23 destroyers and cruisers emerged from their concealment. Near Mars, a squadron of fighters launched from underground hangars. From the dark side of the moon, support vessels and troop transports rose silently. For the first time in 5 years, humanity's secret fleet revealed itself, not as scattered resistance, but as an organized, deadly force. On Earth, President Shepard addressed the emergency session of what remained of the United Nations. "Today, we reclaim our world," she declared. "The signal has been given. Our fleet is engaging the enemy as I speak." The Zorn command ship orbiting Earth detected the approaching vessels too late. Accustomed to complete dominance, they had grown complacent in their patrols. The first indication of trouble came when 3 of their perimeter sensors went dark simultaneously. "Unknown vessels approaching at high velocity," reported a Zorn tactical officer, confusion evident in his voice. "Energy signatures do not match any known human technology." The Zorn commander barely had time to order alert status before the first dark matter weapons struck their hull. The invisible force passed through their outer shields as if they weren't there, disrupting propulsion systems and weapons arrays. From the Defiance, Rodriguez watched the tactical display as the first phase of the attack unfolded exactly as planned. "All ships, execute attack pattern Morrison. Target their communication arrays first, then weapons systems." The human fleet moved with precision that shocked the Zorn defenders. Ships coordinated their attacks through Dr. Powell's AI network, adjusting tactics faster than the Zorn could respond. When the Zorn adapted their shields, the human fleet had already switched to a different attack frequency. "They're trying to call for reinforcements," reported the communications officer, monitoring Zorn transmissions. "Their main communication array is still operational." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "Bring us about. We'll take it out ourselves." The Defiance accelerated toward the massive Zorn command ship, weaving through defensive fire with impossible agility. Rodriguez gripped his command chair as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. "Shields holding at 82%, reported his tactical officer. "We're within optimal range. Fire all forward batteries. Target their communication spire." The dark matter cannons discharged, sending invisible destruction toward the Zorn vessel. The spire crumpled inward before exploding in a spectacular display that momentarily lit up Earth's night side. In low Earth orbit, Lieutenant Kate Morrison led a squadron of fighters against the Zorn atmospheric control platforms that had been used to terrorize Earth's cities. Her pilots executed perfect attack runs, disabling rather than destroying the platforms. "Remember, we need those intact," she reminded her squadron. "Engineering teams are standing by to repurpose them against any counterattack." Within 4 hours, the main battle for Earth was over. 7 Zorn capital ships drifted powerless in orbit, their crews either captured or contained. The remaining 3 had been destroyed when they refused to surrender. Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the Defiance, watching as Earth rotated below, now free of Zorn control for the first time in 5 years. His moment of reflection was interrupted by an urgent call from intelligence. "Captain, we've decoded their emergency transmissions," came the report. "Before we cut their communications, they managed to send a distress call to the Zorn homeworld. Their main battle fleet has been mobilized." Colonel Winters joined Rodriguez on the deck, his expression grim. "How long do we have?" 3 weeks at most. They're dispatching over 200 ships." Winters nodded slowly. "Then we better prepare for round 2. But this time, we'll be fighting on our terms. Rodriguez turned back to the viewport, watching his planet spin peacefully below. For now, let's give Earth one day to celebrate. Tomorrow, we prepare for the real war. The war room beneath the Rocky Mountains buzzed with activity as holographic displays showed the approaching Zorn Armada. 217 warships, arranged in their traditional crescent formation, moved steadily toward the solar system. Newly promoted Admiral Rodriguez studied the display, his face illuminated by the red glow of enemy indicators. Beside him, Dr. Olivia Grant and Colonel Winters analyzed movement patterns. They're following standard Zorn battle doctrine, Dr. Grant observed, pointing to the formation. Their confidence hasn't been shaken. They still see us as primitives who got lucky. Colonel Winters nodded. Good. Underestimation is our greatest advantage. In the 3 weeks since Earth's liberation, humanity had worked feverishly to prepare. The captured Zorn ships had been studied, their technology integrated where possible. Production facilities operated around the clock, turning out fighters and ammunition. We have 64 combat-ready ships, Admiral Rodriguez reported to President Shepard, plus 36 fighters and the automated defense platforms we've positioned throughout the Kuiper Belt. The president frowned. Not even half their number. Numbers won't decide this fight, Rodriguez replied confidently. Dr. Powell's tactical AI gives us a response time advantage, and they don't know about our Kuiper Belt ambush. Dr. Grant approached with a datapad. The predictive model is complete. We've identified 3 potential engagement scenarios with positive outcomes. The holographic display shifted, showing a complex battle plan. Colored lines represented ship movements and predicted Zorn responses. We'll face them beyond Neptune's orbit, Rodriguez explained. Draw them into this region where we've seeded quantum mines. As they adjust formation, our fleet will attack from these 3 vectors simultaneously. President Shepard studied the plan. What does the AI calculate as our chances? Dr. Grant hesitated. 43% probability of complete victory. 38% probability of Pyrrhic victory with significant losses. And the remaining 19%. Complete defeat. Silence fell over the war room. Finally, Colonel Winters spoke. Better odds than we had 5 years ago. 3 days later, humanity's fleet assembled at its designated position in the Kuiper Belt. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the flagship Retribution, watching as his ships took formation. All vessels report combat ready, his executive officer announced. Dark matter weapons charged and antimatter engines at full capacity. Rodriguez opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Admiral Rodriguez. In a few hours, we will engage the largest Zorn battle fleet ever assembled. They come seeking vengeance for their defeat at Earth. What they'll find instead is humanity's full strength. He paused, looking at the determined faces of his bridge crew. 5 years ago, they thought they conquered us. Today, they learn that humans don't surrender. We adapt, we evolve, and we fight back. Good hunting. The Zorn fleet entered the solar system with overwhelming confidence. Their supreme commander had participated in a dozen conquest campaigns, all successful. This human rebellion would be crushed swiftly, making an example for any other thoughts of resistance throughout the Empire. Enemy fleet detected, announced the Zorn sensor officer. Small formation, approximately 60 vessels. The Supreme Commander laughed dismissively. So few. They must be desperate. The human fleet appeared to retreat before the Zorn advance, drawing them deeper into the Kuiper Belt. The Zorn commander pressed forward eagerly, sensing easy victory. When the first quantum mines detonated, the Zorn formation faltered in confusion. Explosions rippled across their front line, disabling shields and propulsion on dozens of ships. Ambush, shouted the Zorn tactical officer, detecting energy webs activating throughout the sector. Rodriguez watched from the Retribution as the trap closed. All ships, execute attack pattern Grant Alpha. Cruiser groups 1 and 2, engage from port and starboard. Destroyer squadron, follow me straight down their throat. The human fleet split into 3 attack groups, striking the disoriented Zorn formation from multiple vectors simultaneously. Dark matter cannons fired in synchronized volleys, bypassing Zorn shields to strike vulnerable systems. The massive Zorn flagship attempted to rally its forces, but Dr. Powell's AI predicted each maneuver before it happened. When the Zorn adjusted their shields, human weapons had already changed frequency. When they attempted to regroup, quantum mines detonated in their path. "Their left flank is breaking," reported Rodriguez's tactical officer. 37 enemy ships disabled or destroyed. The battle raged for 11 hours. Human ships danced between Zorn formations, striking with precision before retreating. The automated defense platforms provided covering fire from hidden positions throughout the belt. When the Zorn Supreme Commander's flagship finally exploded after a direct hit to its power core, the remaining Imperial ships began to retreat. "They're falling back," Colonel Winters announced, unable to hide his amazement. "We actually did it." Admiral Rodriguez watched the retreating Zorn fleet on his tactical display. "Send to all ships. Well done. Earth remains free."